Well, we are in Pancho Villa State Park, and we chose a camp spot here. None of them are very private. We chose one that was close to the restroom since we're not self-contained. But I thought I'd go ahead and do a little tour of the grounds around here, and some of the remnants of the buildings from back at the around early 1900s, 1910 to 1920 or so, something like that. And let me turn the camera around and show you the campsite. And yeah, we'll start with that, and then we'll move on to some buildings. Well, there's our campsite. Now, they did a lot of nice little cactus gardens amongst all the different campsites. So you can see ours here, and we're close to the restrooms. We're not self-contained, and quite honestly, I don't like to walk a half a mile like we did at Rockhound just to go to the bathroom. So this was a lot better. They're flush toilets, so you know, no smell. Always helps. And we have been surrounded by these beautiful clouds. In fact, I've been watching this one right here for a while. Right here we'll come up to the first building, and I haven't seen a sign that gives me any indication as to what this was, but they have built, as you can see, a pavilion here over it in order to protect it, because it is adobe mud brick building. You can see the plaster over it. Well, like I say, I have no idea what it was originally. Kind of see through the fence here a little bit. Looks like there might be a sign over here. There's a padlock gate. Keep out of the fenced in area. Okay, well, I guess we're not going to see into it. Kind of cool. Ah, here we go. Judge Advocate's Office, Camp Furlong. So, I don't know what year the camp was established. Maybe we'll find that out when we get a chance to do the museum. But, you know, there's our camp spot right over there, right across from this. What happened is that Pancho Villa was very instrumental in the original overthrow. I believe it was President Diaz. And then President Muerto came in. I think that was in 1910 or 1911. But that wasn't the end of it. A guy named Huerta, then Huerta was thrown out again by the revolutionary armies. But Villa kind of broke with a guy named Carranza, and he took over with a coalition government that in 1915 or so, the U.S. was about ready to recognize as the official government of Mexico. Unfortunately, Villa's army was not very, or his government apparently was pretty weak overall. So forces led by this Carranza decided, I guess, to oust Villa or attack them. And the U.S. decided to support Carranza rather than Villa. So Villa was a little pissed off. I guess he lost. And a lot of his men deserted him, I guess, a lot of his army. Not all of it, though, because, like I said, he was a little pissed off. So he came down and I guess was harassing and attacking the U.S. Army in retribution, I guess, for them supporting Carranza rather than supporting him. So he had, I guess, a pretty major raid on the facilities here and did a lot of damage, and was basically pretty successful in attacking the installation here. And that led in 1916 and 1917 to General John Pershing led the revenge campaign trying to track down and capture Pancho Villa, which they never did. I don't know exactly all the details after that, but somehow Villa ended up being granted some land as long as he promised to lay low. But then apparently he was assassinated in 1928, and I'm not really sure the details on that, who did it or what happened, but something you could probably look up. This must have been the motor pool. The first grease rack installed to service United States Army automotive equipment gates and field operations. Well, I'll let you read the rest of it. That's kind of a cool structure here. Let's back off, see more of it. Yeah. Pretty long. So I guess I could get the trucks and other things up here and do oil changes and change the grease and all. It's kind of interesting here. So there's a concrete pad. However, these yuccas have found their way. I guess we missed the blooming yucca. Here we are at the end of it, looking back down. I always find these things kind of interesting, you know, made out of concrete, not metal, you know, built to last. Okay, so there's another sign over here coming up, so I'm going to sign off with this, and when I get there, we'll take a look and walk to the next structure. Okay, as it says, March 9th, 1916 was the last hostile action by foreign troops in the continental United States. It says here that the reason is among dispute among survivors and historians, but he attacked the town of Columbus as well as the camp here, so you can stop and read this. The interesting thing is I heard, with no veracity necessarily to the story, possibly, you know, it was during World War I, and there was some talk about the government of, well, or the Germans apparently were trying to get the government of Mexico to turn in favor of them against the U.S. So one of the rumors I heard, or hypotheses, was that Pancho Villa's attacks and harassment down here was to try to keep part of the U.S. Army occupied here rather than over in Europe. That we had to keep troops here because of the threat that Villa may come in and try to take back some of the land that had once been part of Mexico. But like I said, I don't know if there's any truth or veracity to that. But that's what I heard. So we are coming up to another building here. We're also coming to a thing that says points of interest. So let's take a look at that. 500-mile expedition by 10,000 troops into Mexico. I did hear that this particular operation by Pershing came close to causing a war with Mexico, which is all we would have needed during World War I was another war, right? But we have another building over here. We'll go take a look at it. You can read that. It's the headquarters building of Camp Furlong. This looks like another adobe building. Yeah, interesting part maybe would be to find out whether or not these buildings existed and the Army just took them over when they came in, or if they actually built adobe structures. Kind of cool. Not much to really see in there, it doesn't look like. Yeah, I can see some remnants of plastering in there, which may or may not be interesting. All right, so let's head over here. Looks like an interesting old tank of some sort. Let's take a look. Let's see, I don't know if I come in closer. Yeah, okay, that's good. Get my shadow out of there. So I don't see any particular guns mounted, and well, maybe over here. We'll see when we come around. Might have just been somebody up there in the turret sticking their gun out and shooting. We do have a hole here to look in. What can we see? I see a chair. Oh, and a steering wheel right here. Well, that makes sense for this little hatch up here so that the driver could actually see where he's going. It looks like he's got a gun hole over there too. We have controls. Well, I don't see any controls. Right on this wall. Oh, just another turret. And there you go. You got some seats back there, probably for guys with guns. The turret up there. A couple of turrets. I don't know if that turret rotates, quite honestly. One thing I thought was really interesting was noticing the tires. They look like they're just hard rubber casings around the huge rims. You would think they'd want a tracked vehicle. Now, I don't know about the sophistication or development of tracked vehicles back at that time. Maybe they didn't have them yet, I don't know. I don't know the history of tracked vehicles. And a hatch here? Huh, I wonder what that was for. They do have an exhibit hall. I don't know if it's open, but I see probably what's like a howitzer over here. Now, I don't know if this is the museum per se. Let's see, 9 to 12 and 1 to 3. Okay, so this is the museum. Here's the fees. Really not expensive for $14 for an electric site. That's about what we'd pay for 2 showers most places. The showers were really pretty good back at Rockhound State Park, which is only up the road about 30 miles. These showers had no pressure, were one temperature, and that one temperature was hot. Oh, this is exactly what I'd want to be sitting, right? I don't think I'd want to sit right next to the barrel like that. I don't know what the heck that person did. Oh, a person on each side? Ew, crazy. And oh yes, you can see the rifling in the barrel. And also some trash, it looks like. If you're not familiar with the reason for rifling, it stabilizes the projectile rather than wobbling and going head over heels through the air. But see, then you have another seat back here on this side, one on each side. So I have no idea what those guys in the front would be doing. Maybe sighting or something, I don't know. Not the job I'd want. Not the job I'd want. Well, I walked around and the only thing I can see is these 2 water towers. And both of them look military style to me. This one right here, let me see, it appears it's concrete, the tank as well as the stand for it. So that obviously probably goes back to the time that Camp Furlong was in existence. And I'm not sure about this other one. It is metal and black, so I guess you get hot water out of that sucker, huh? You can see the building down here. It's like the old train depot, and building here which says Customs House. Let's go look. I always find these old buildings and history kind of interesting. Sometimes we wish for a simpler time, then we forget about hair dryers and microwaves and electric refrigerators and all that other good stuff. Yeah, so Pancho Villa, was he a bad guy, or was he really just a guy that was trying to make things work for his people? You know, it's always one of those conundrums, isn't it? Let's go up here and just see what we got. I have no idea if this was hysterical. Erected in 1901. Here when the raid occurred. It's always kind of fun to look in the windows. I don't know if they ever opened this. Block off some of the glare. Looks like they have a little library in that room back behind there. I like these old buildings. It's kind of cool. There was a sign down here, so I'll walk down the steps here. The National Historic Landmark. Okay, well, let's see if I can walk through here without getting snagged. Prospects are 50-50. Okay, well, there's a recreation hall down here I'm going to go to. Looks like it's pretty well cordoned off. So I don't even know how close I can get to it. Looks pretty military. At least what I see a lot of times in the old military installations I've visited. Okay, so what's next? I did see something up back closer to our camp, so I'll come back on them if I get there, if I don't forget. So, I mean, you know, it's a nice park. There's quite a bit of room between the sites, most of them, and then you have a nice little cactus garden. I think the non-electrics that might be over in this direction, some of them, like one side of the pavilion is campsite A, one is campsite number B. I suppose when it's full, it's full. And I don't know, I guess these are campsites over here for people that like to park in the middle of gravel. So I don't know. But yeah, we have a structure over here I'm going to go look at. I think we drove by this on the way in. So as I was saying, the campsites, you know, they're spread out enough. You feel like at least you have a little privacy. And, you know, they're nicely done. It's not great for trigger because they have fairly large stones instead of like, you know, a pea gravel type thing, or at least a small rounded gravel. Some of these are pretty sharp. So I think this structure over here that I'm coming to right now, right ahead of us here, looks like it was probably a loading dock. So this was also concrete. You can see not quite as refined as the concrete we see today. Those are some pretty big stones in the mortar there. And then it looks like it was just landfilled. Maybe, it's hard to say. Here you can see the start of the ramp and how it goes up here. So I'd assume this is just a loading dock. Get the trucks up there, although there's no building to load into, so I don't know. Maybe there was a building here before. Hard to say, huh? Okay, so I don't see anything else. If I do, I'll cut back in. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow in the museum. It opens at 9.